Hello, my name is David Donoghue and I'm going to give a quick introduction to ACCA P7. Now, this P7 paper, it follows on from a number of ACCA papers that you would have seen before. So it follows on from F8, P1, P2, and there's a touch of P3 in it. The examiner is a lady named Lisa Weaver, who's been the examiner since 2007. So we've got a good number of ACCA papers at this stage which we're able to use to see what the paper looks like. It is important just to keep note there of the papers that it follows on from. It will be particularly important, as we'll see later on, that you have either covered P2 before or that you are sitting P2 at the same time. As far as the exam paper is concerned, there's a section A and a section B. Section A is two compulsory questions. The first question is a 35-mark question, the second question is a 25-mark question. The first question will always be dominated by risk. There's an example of an exam paper from December 2014. The risk question would either be business risk, risk of material misstatement, or audit risk. There will also be some bits and pieces on that question revolving around audit procedures normally, and you can see that in part C there, where we're asked to talk about principal audit procedures, and then there may or may not be some parts on it on ethical issues. All of those are areas you'd have seen before, either through F8, the business risk you'd have seen in P1, and a lot of the risks would revolve around accounting standards, which you'd have seen in P2. The most new thing, or the most challenging thing as far as that question is concerned, is how you're going to go about your approach to answering the question which is based on the risk. The question 2 tends to be, well, it will be for 25 marks. It tends to be based on other services, or else it'll be what we refer to as a comment on the matters style question. The examiner stressed a couple of times that this paper is called Advanced Audit and Assurance. So as much as she possibly can, she will ensure that one of the compulsory questions on the exam is on assurance services, to make sure that there's no getting away from doing it. And assurance services is the one new area of the course. We'll have a quick look at assurance services in a moment. And then you have comment on the matters, which is a specific type of question, which again I'll mention very briefly in a few minutes. The assurance services, it's the new part of the syllabus. It's the one part of the course which is new. That some of these areas we will not have seen, most of it we will not have seen in the earlier ACCA studies. It'll cover areas possibly on due diligence, forensic accounting, prospective financial information, and the review of financial statements. There's other areas that can be covered there as well. As I say, it is the one new part of the course. It's something that will be important for you to study. It more than likely will be worth 25 marks. If it's not worth a compulsory 25 marks, it will be a 20-mark question. The comment on the matters question, again, is a particular style of question that this examiner has. And when she asks you to comment on the matters, she has particular issues that she wants you to address. The issues, again, are all things that you have seen before. She'll want you to look at materiality, accounting issues, which will be accounting standards from P2, identify risks of material misstatement, which you'd have seen in F8, and then audit report implications, which you'd have seen in F8 as well. Evidence you'd expect to find on file then, again, that would be relatively new versus F8, as that the evidence that we'd have to gather would be more challenging than it will be from the work in F8. Section B of the paper then, we have a slight choice in section B, in that there's 3 questions due 2, they're worth 20 marks each. The areas that she examines are consistent in that she comes up with the same areas every year. And invariably there's a question on ethics and professional issues. Accounting standards will again feature in these option questions. There'll be questions around audit evidence, and then the last question will be the final stages of the audit around audit completion, incorporating audit reporting. So there'll generally be 2 questions there'll be 3 questions. You'll have to do 2 of them, and they'll be the areas that will dominate it. There'll also be a question in section B around either assurance services or comment on the matters. So if she hasn't examined one of those areas as her 25-mark question, she'll examine it as her 20-mark question. Question 3 on the exam will be that question, invariably. We can't say for definite what the questions will be now, needless to say, because it is a P-level paper. But generally, question 3 will be a comment on the matters or another services question. So if that hasn't featured, whichever one of those hasn't featured as question 2 is likely to be question 3. Then she also has started including in her question 3 topical issues. By topical issues, she really means recent exam papers that she's written. And there's a big track record of this examiner for writing articles, and she examines them fairly quickly. Question 4 is normally an ethical question, including other professional issues. Excuse me. Question 5 is the final stages of the audit, and that will incorporate audit reporting. Again, they are areas that you would have seen in F8. So in general, for this paper, whichever option paper you're going to choose, the first thing you should do is review the recent past exam papers for the 4 options. And that should help you make a decision on which one suits you best. As far as P7 is concerned, over 85% of the material on the P7 syllabus has already been covered in earlier papers. It is very important that you've studied P2, or that you're in the process of studying it, because those accounting standards will be examinable, and it's very dangerous. You can't theoretically sit P7 now before you do P2, but it is not advisable. It will require that you have a bit of knowledge about a lot of matters to do well in P7, and in the exam you need to write a little about a lot of things. The key to passing this exam is very much completing exam questions when you attend a lecture. So that in summary is P7. If you have any questions that you want to put on this course or on your choice, feel free to drop me an email at dave.o'donoghue@accountancyschool.ie. Thanks very much for your time, and good luck with your studies.